Very good morning to one and all. Well, friends, we were dealing with the application of Kirchhoff's law in an electric circuit, and based on that, we have a Wheatstone bridge principle. A typical name, Wheatstone. Actually, Mr. Wheatstone is an English professor who developed this system. For what this system is, actually, in order to find out the value of an unknown resistance, suppose I am having S as the unknown resistance. So, four resistances P, Q, R and S are arranged in such a way that one of their diagonal is connected to a galvano and other diagonal to a battery. So, actually this Wheatstone bridge is based on principle of equilibrium of resistances. What Mr. Professor Wheatstone found that if we adjust the value of PQRS in such a way that no current flows in the galvano, the value of PQRS is adjusted in such a way through the galvano. What does it mean? Means Ig becomes 0 if the value of PQ, R and S are adjusted in such a way that no current flows through the galvano, and this is known as equilibrium condition. Equilibrium condition. What professor found that at this condition P by a Q comes out to be exactly equal to R by S. If it is so, then and only then Ig is 0. Right? We can state in two ways. If P by Q is equal to R by S, then Ig is 0. Or I could say if Ig is 0, then P by Q will be equal to R by S. Right? And if you want to find out the value of unknown resistance, S will be what? R into Q by P. Right? That's how we calculate the unknown resistance. Right? And if you want to find out the resistivity or the specific resistance of the metal of that unknown resistance, let L be the length of unknown resistance. Remember, unknown resistance we have named it S and RB the radius of unknown resistance Y. Then we do have that formula, rho is equal to R A by L. Here unknown is S. It will become pi R square by L. By calculating this, we can calculate the specific resistance of the metal of the wire of that unknown resistance. Now question arises how to prove it. Now we want to prove it, this P by Q is equal to R by S or not. We will use the Kirchhoff law to prove this system. So what I did, I have adjusted four resistances P, Q, R and S in the four respective arms of the quadrilateral. Do check the distribution like P, Q, R and S, not in a clockwise R system. P, Q, R and S. S is unknown, right? And I with the current passing through it, what will happen at point A? It is being bifurcated. So let I1 be the current passing through P. Naturally, in R it will be I minus I1. Initially, I am considering a small current is flowing through the galvano, Ig. So remaining current I1 minus Ig will pass through Q, and at this point D, we will apply the junction rule. This is I minus I1 and Ig is coming. So what will have? I minus I1 plus Ig. And at C again you apply the law of junction rule, Kirchhoff's law. What will happen? Ig, I1 all will cancel and we will left with I. Whatever current we have inserted, same amount of current is coming out. Wheatstone bridge principle. Right? So after adjusting the current, let us consider the loop, this one. name it math 1, right? In math I will name it A, B, D, A, right? What my law says? Current is corresponding. Current is I1 is corresponding is, I am taking it positive. IZ, same direction. If you are having any problem regarding direction, apply the direction here itself. I1, IZ is in the same direction, and this I1, I minus I1 is in the opposite direction. Remember this loop. I did mention in the math rule itself that whenever you have some problem regarding direction, make a loop, and what will happen? This is I1 flowing, this is IZ is flowing, and what is happening here? I minus I1 is flowing in opposite direction, right? So if I am considering this clockwise as positive, naturally anti-clock will be negative. In one system, one rule will be followed. So this is plus I1 into P. Next is IZ. It is also in the same direction. So IZ, and resistance of the galvanoid is capital G, minus I minus I1. Why it is negative? Because it is against to that direction, and its corresponding is what? R. What is the EMF here? 0. There is no EMF, so it is 0. So this is the first equation we have got by using mass rule. Now apply the same system for mesh. This one, B, C, D, B. Right? What happened? Look, this one. This is mass 2 I am considering. I1 minus IZ. Its corresponding is Q. Right? And what is happening? If we check the direction of this I minus I1 plus IZ is opposite to that, and its corresponding is S. And look at here, it is like this, and IZ is against opposite to that, it will be IZ into Z equal to 0. This is the second equation. Having problem, just make a loop, find out the current. This is I minus I1 flowing. Remember, IZ is opposite to that. This is I minus I1 plus IZ is flowing. You can check it out. We are having I minus I1 as a clockwise, and both are the anti-clock. So I minus I1 is positive and both are the negative. Right? These two equations we have got. Now, what professor found that if the value of PQRS is so adjusted that IZ is 0, if I am saying we have adjusted the value and IZ comes out to be 0. If IZ is 0, I am considering it, then what will happen to these two equations? Check it out. That is the equilibrium condition I am talking about. So what will happen in first equation? It will become I1 into P plus IZ is 0 into Z minus I minus I1 into R equal to 0. So this becomes 0. So what I got? I1 into P equal to I minus I1 into R. This is the improvised form of equation 1. What about the second equation? Check it out. This is the first equation. Then second equation. What is there? I1 minus IZ is 0 into Q minus I minus I1 plus 0 into S minus 0 into Z equal to 0. So what is left? It will be I1 into Q equal to I minus I1 into S. This will be the improvised form of second equation. right? Divide equation 1 by equation 2. Dividing equation 1 by equation 2. What will we get? I1 into P by I1 into Q equal to I minus I1 into R by I minus I1 into S. So check it out. This get cancelled and we left with P by Q is equal to R by S. This is the equilibrium condition, but provided that at Ig is equal to 0. That's how we prove Kirchhoff's Wheatstone bridge principle by using Kirchhoff's law. Right? So with this we can calculate S and we can calculate the resistivity of the metal of that wire. Right? So Ig is 0. What will give you? Case. If Ig is 0, means no current is flowing in the medium. Flowing through BD. What does it mean? It simply means the potential difference across BD is 0. This one. If no current is flowing means both are at the same potential, right? Which means VB will be equal to VD. This is one of the aspects of this principle, that both the point will be at same electric potential. There will be no potential difference. Right? Now, how to apply this to find out? To make a device what is popularly known as meter bridge. Meter bridge or slide wire bridge. Right? Actually, it is a device based on principle of Wheatstone bridge, and it is used to find out the value of unknown resistance and the resistivity of the metal of the wire of that unknown resistance. Right? So as we were saying, so far as principle is concerned, it consists of, first of all, a wire of 1 meter. This AB is of 1 meter, 100 centimeter. That's why the name meter is being applied here. Now question arises, why this bridge is there? If you could see two gaps, these two gaps, and filled with an RB or a unknown resistance. S is the unknown resistance. So it is filling the gap, it is joining the two gaps. So that's why the bridge word is there. It is known as meter bridge. Right? This wire consists of an alloy. Remember these two words, constantan, or manganese. It is your problem now to find out their metal. Constantan or manganese. Actually, they are temperature independent up to a certain extent. That's why these alloy wire are used to make the meter bridge wire. Right? If you talk about principle, the principle of this meter bridge is the same way. It is based on Wheatstone bridge principle. What about Wheatstone bridge principle? It says that in the equilibrium condition, if Ig is 0, then P by a Q equal to R by a S, right? Where P, Q, R are the known one and unknown resistance. So S is equal to R Q by a P. That's how we find out the unknown resistance. And if we talk about the resistivity, rho is S pi R square by L. This is the principle on which they are based. Right? Now how to perform the experiment. Right? So, first of all, we will draw a circuit diagram of this one. This is the practical circuit diagram. This you can use directly in your lab and you will get the result. So, how to apply this principle here? Once you make the setup like this, first and foremost aim is to check the continuity of the circuit. Remember, first you have to know the circuit. This G is for the galvano, a device which detects the presence of the current, and this RB I am writing. RB is the short form of resistance box that you will find in the lab. Right? Consists of a variable resistance of very high value, variable resistance, varying from 1 to 1000. Right? This S is the unknown wire whose resistance or specific resistance we are going to calculate. Right? If you just check this equivalent circuit, you will find that R is there, S is there, battery is there, galvano is there, but what about P and Q? Right? So we will find the first condition, the first requirement is how to check the continuity of the circuit. Here continuity means whether the circuit is working or not, right? So this tip which I have made here and I am writing it J. This is J is for jockey. It is pencil-like holder having a metal tip, jockey. Just like my pen, it will be there, and instead of this black part, it will be a metal strip, right? Jockey. So tap the jockey at A, this point A, right? Naturally, the galvano will show a deflection. What will happen? Galvano means galvanometer will show a deflection in a particular direction. In a particular direction means either left side or right side, right? On tapping at A, galvano is showing a deflection in particular direction, whether it is left hand side or right hand side. Then after this, tap at B. What will happen? If you tap at B, the galvano must show a deflection in opposite direction. Remember, in opposite direction. What does it mean? If at A it is in the right hand side, at B it should be in the left hand side. If it is not there, if somehow it is showing one direction only, one direction deflection, means something is wrong in the circuit. So do check the circuit properly, whether the connections are proper or not. If any rusting is there, this D point is proper or not. Most of the time it is a bit disturbing one, this D1, right? RB, all knobs are connected properly, write S like this, a battery, right? Once you check this one, if it is there, then it means continuity is there. Continuity is there. That is, the circuit is on. Circuit is on. Now we can perform the experiment. So before doing the experiment, we have to check the continuity. This is the foremost part and must, you could say. No? After doing this, what we will do? At A, suppose it is showing left hand side deflection. At B, it is showing right hand side direction deflection. It means what? There will be a point in between when the galvano will not show any deflection. Right? Now practical, how we do it. Let R be an applied resistance. What does it mean? From this RB, we will take out a particular value. That will be the applied value, 1 ohm, 2 ohm, 3 ohm, whatever it is. Right? Check the continuity. Again and again you have to check the continuity. Check the continuity. Right? Once the continuity is there, we will try to find out a point C where the galvano is showing no deflection. Let at C the galvano shows no deflection. Means, with the help of this jockey, we will try to find out a point where the galvano is showing no deflection. It is known as null point at C. What will happen at C? Suppose the length of AC is L, remaining BC will be 100 minus L, right? According to law of resistance, we know that resistance is always directly proportional to length, provided that if A is constant. Means if the area of cross section is same. Here the wire AB have got a uniform cross section, so area is same. So we can apply this law here, right? So what will happen? By using this, the resistance across AC will become directly proportional to L, that null point length, and resistance across BC will be directly proportional to 100 minus L. Agree or not? Right? And we name it this RAC. According to our circuit equivalence, I can name it P, directly proportional to L, where I am naming RAC as P according to my circuit equivalence. Same way here, Q directly proportional to 100 minus L, where what is there? RBC is being given a name Q, right? Now you check the circuit. Remember, this is P, this is Q. Same equivalence, P, Q, R, S. Look, P, Q, R, S. Right? Galvano is being applied at one of the diagonal and battery to the other diagonal. Just exact equivalence of our working circuit and the meter based circuit. Wheatstone based circuit. So what we got from these two? P is directly proportional to L and Q is directly proportional to Q. So what we will get? P via Q will become L upon 100 minus L. The value of P and Q we got in terms of length. what we have according to Wheatstone bridge principle, what we have P by a Q equal to R by a S, or from here S is R Q by a P. If I substitute the value of Q by a P, then so S comes out to be R. It is since Q by a P, so 100 minus L will be in the numerator and L will be in the denominator, like this. This will give you the value of unknown resistance for a particular value R, right? How to do it practically? Now, we are in the lab. How to perform this one? We will first adjust the circuit accordingly, check the continuity, and we'll take out a particular value. I could write on here R, L, 100 minus L, and S, right? And serial number. First, serial number 1, I am taking R as 1 ohm. And my null point, suppose it comes out to be 40. Naturally 100 minus will remain 60 centimeter, and we can calculate S very easily. How? Rough you can do it. 100 minus L by L. R is 1, 100 minus L is 60 by 40. It will give you what? 3 by 2 means 1.5 ohm. Very easily it comes out to be 1.5. Second reading, I can have 3 ohm, right? Just an approximation I am taking. Suppose it comes out to be, take any value, let it be 65 and 35. It will be, what will be R? 3 into 35 divided by 65. How much you will get? 1.6, approximately 1.6. But if you calibrate it properly, if you do it properly, it will exactly come out to be 1.6. But if it is 1.6, let it be. That is a practical error. Same way, you can repeat it for 5 ohm. You will get a particular value and you can do it, right? Suppose it comes out to be 75 and it becomes 25. So what will the value? 125 divided by 75, 1.6. That's how we do it. This is just a speculation, but you have to perform it practically, and you will find that all three readings will be somewhere close to each other. There will be no variation, like one is coming 2 and one is coming 4. No, since the same wire is being used, so its value will be almost same. So by doing this, we can calculate S mean. That is S1 plus S2 plus S3 divided by 3, right? And it will give you 1.5 plus 1.6 plus 1.6 divided by 3. How much?
9.
This will be the value of that unknown resistance, right? That's how we do practically. This you have nothing to do with the theoretical system, but practically we have to perform like this, right? So after calculating S, we will measure the length of that wire. This S. We will stretch it and we will calculate the length, L. Remember, length of wire. By using screw gauge, you can calculate R, radius of wire. Remember, you have to use screw gauge for that. No speculation, screw gauge. Once L is known, R is known, one can very easily calculate rho equal to S pi R square by L. This ohm into meter will give you the specific resistance or the resistivity of the metal of the wire. This is very simple, right? So I don't think it is one of the easiest experiment, but only thing you have to remember this continuity factor. If the circuit is not continuous, then nothing is clear there, and you will reach nowhere, right? One more experiment is also there. They ask you to prove laws of resistance, series and parallel. So for that, what we do, if I am applying like this, this is suppose S1, this is S2. This will give you the series law, right? If I apply it like this, this is S1, this is S2, this is called parallel law. So these two laws can also be proved with the help of this device. So this is known as meter, which is a very simple device, right? These gaps, if you could see, these are a very thick metal strip, because metal strip has got very low resistance, so that's why it is used thick metal strip. It is joining the gap, that's why the word brace. 1 meter is being used, so the meter wire. Slide, we are sliding the jockey on the wire, that's why slide wire is the name given to it, right? Most of the time they give an experiment or some particular analysis and you have to find out the system, right? If I change this S to RB and RB to S, what will happen? What will happen? Is it going to change the value? Is it going to change the value? That you have to think and answer in my last topic, right? Now, as we are moving towards the experiment, let's talk about a few devices which we are using here during practical. So we have galvano as a full topic in magnetic effect of current, but here we'll talk about a bit about it. The simple device, if you have read in class 10, one is ammeter, not ammeter, it is ammeter, means ampere meter. Well, ampere meter is a device used to measure the electric current, right? As we have read in the combination of resistances, that current remains constant in series only. Suppose a current is coming from a part, we apply the ammeter always in series. Always in series, remember. An ammeter is always applied in series. Why? Because it is used to measure the current and current remains constant in series only. Right? Remember this factor. An ammeter always applied in series. Question arises, why? The answer will be because in series current remains constant. Now, what should be the resistance of an ammeter? Question is that resistance of an ammeter. If the ammeter has a particular resistance, let R be the Rm Am I am writing be the resistance of an ammeter. What will happen? Then according to Ohm's law, R into Ram will give you a small value, Vam. it will be the potential difference used by the meter. So what is going to happen? So this VAM will reduce the actual EMF. So actual potential difference will be V applied minus V used by the meter, right? If PD decreases, as PD is decreasing, what will happen? Current will also decrease. It means it will not read the proper current, exact current, right? Part of it, if RAM is the resistance of the meter, naturally a part of it will be used by the resistant itself. So actual potential difference will reduce. And actual potential difference decreases means current will decrease. So the ammeter will not read the correct value. Ammeter will not read the actual value. So, in order to make an ammeter, the resistance should be minimum. That's why the resistance of an ammeter should be minimum. Remember, resistance RAM which we were writing must tend towards 0, right? For an ideal ammeter, remember, resistance RAM is always 0. This is very key factor, right? Lower will be the value of resistance of an ammeter, better will be the current reading, right? This is about ammeter. Sometimes people get confused to calibrate it. It is a very simple thing. This is denoting 0 and we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and then it is 1, right? In terms of ampere. So how to calculate? It simply means 10 part is just equal to 1 ampere. So what will the value of 1 part? Will be 1 by 10 and we will get 0.1 ampere. This is known as calibration, how to get the value. So whatever will be number of parts, we will multiply with 0.1 and we will get the reading exactly. This is all about ammeter. Then we have one more, voltmeter. You know? That was ampere meter, it is voltmeter. Device used to measure, instead of electric current, it will be to measure potential difference. Commercial name, voltage. Often electric circuit, here in an electric circuit very easily, this is voltmeter. Right? Now, again in combination of resistance, while dealing with the parallel combination, we have read that potential difference PD remains constant in parallel combination. Remember, that's why a voltmeter is always applied in parallel. What does it mean? Suppose the current is flowing and we are having a resistor R. I want to read this potential across this resistor. What I will do, I will simply apply the voltmeter parallel to it. Like this. Right? Because we are reading the potential difference across R, which will remain constant if and only if I apply it in parallel to this. So this is one of the key factor, potential difference. In order to measure the potential difference, voltmeter is always applied in parallel. Right? Now, what about the resistance of the voltmeter? Just like a meter, resistance of voltmeter. What is the main aim of voltmeter? It measures the potential difference. R of volt I am writing, where R volt is the resistance of voltmeter, right? So, higher be the value of volt, higher will be the range of voltmeter. Means, in order to make a voltmeter, the resistance should be very high. Resistance of voltmeter should be very high. Right? For an ideal voltmeter, again I am not mentioning it. Ideal voltmeter, its resistance should be infinity. For an ideal voltmeter, resistance should be infinity. For an ideal ammeter, resistance would be very low, 0. Right? These are the two basic devices we will use here. And one more is very simple one, the galvano one. Right? The galvano is nothing, it simply detects the presence of electric current in an electric circuit. And by doing some adjustment, we can use galvano as an ammeter, as a voltmeter. That is the part of our topic in later on units, but here we will conclude it here itself. And in next topic, we will talk about potentiometer. Thank you and have a nice day, and keep on subscribing us. If you do have any problem, any question regarding the topics, you can simply send it through my number, my WhatsApp number, whatever is available. If it is not, do contact me. Right? Our number is always there. Right? And our number, telephone number, if you are not having. For physics we have 18126255873, and for mathematics 9412144360. Right? We are two brother dealing with physics and math. Look, even the Uparwala has done the justice here. My bro is Manoj, and he is the master of mathematics. My name is Pramod, and I do deal with physics. It is already fixed. Game was already fixed and we did it.